What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Tank Be Choppin, and I'm coming at y'all with another haircut tutorial. On this haircut, we're gonna actually leave the hair on top, and we're gonna do a mid-bob fade. Let's get it. Alright, so I'm actually starting off with my Babyliss Supras. I got the 5-0 on there. I'm gonna actually ball them out with this instead of using my trimmer. No actual particular reason, I just feel like using these clippers, so that's why I'm using them. So as you can see, I'm starting my initial bald guideline. And as you can see in the front, I'm leaving it a little dark for that C cup. That way I can give them a nice curve at the end of the fade. So when it comes to using these detachables, guys, you want to make sure you pull the ear down before you go behind the ear. A lot of times you can't cut the client behind the ear with these, and that's what I was trying to avoid. That's what I was trying to avoid, as you can see when I pulled the ear down. So now I'm just continuing to bald him out all the way around with the Babyliss Supras, the 5-0s. These clippers are really good for that, like knocking down bulk. You know, they move really quick when you want them to. Now I'm on to the other side and I'm doing the same exact thing. Balding them out, making sure that line is pretty straight. You know, it don't have to be perfect. Getting all the excess hair, making sure I'm putting the ear down, getting all that hair out. Alright, now I got my Babyliss Shaver. And we're taking all that down the skin. And remember, guys, the closer I get to that initial guideline, I release pressure. I'm not pushing as hard closer to that line. So towards the bottom of the fade, I'll be putting more pressure, and the closer I get to that line, I start, you know, releasing some of that pressure. A lot of people ask me what shaver is best. I really just think that's personal preference. I tend to use my Babyliss shavers. I got 3 of them. And to me, I just like the way they work. You know, they look nice. They work good. I personally think they work a little better than the Wahl and the Babyliss, but that's just my opinion. Someone else can have a different opinion, but that's just what I think about them. I was gonna finish balding them out. Make sure I get all that hair bald. Pull the ear down, get all the hair behind the ear. And my camera, so this is the first tutorial I actually filmed with my new camera. Well, I had a camera for a while, and I just hadn't used it. I was actually using my iPhone while I decided to get the camera out and start filming with that. So this is the first one. I didn't have the focus on properly, so it was on autofocus. So it's gonna be going in and out. But for the most part, I think it's easy to watch. So let me know if y'all like the videos from the camera. All right, so now I got my Wahl Magic Clips, the metal edition. Clipper open. I'm starting my next guideline, and I'm coming up about 3/4 of an inch to an inch. Brushing the hair down, brushing away all that extra debris. And y'all know I like to fade open to close, so I'm gonna adjust my lever as needed and come up right below that guideline. So I started clipper open, made my first initial guideline, closed the clipper slightly, went up right below that, closed the clipper a little more, and I'm coming up right below that. And now I got my clipper closed all the way, and I'm tapping that bottom line. And for the most part, that bottom line should disappear. You will see a slight line, and I'll just take that out with the trimmers if needed. And as you can see, I'm adjusting that lever right there. And this is really how I cut hair most of the time. I adjust that lever in between just to make sure it looks, you know, nice and faded. Now I got my 1/8 guard. I got it all the way open, and I'm coming up about 3/4 of an inch to an inch, making my next guideline, and then I'm gonna try to erase that. So I started with the open, now I'm about halfway, using a flick out motion and coming up right below that first line. Now I got my clipper all the way closed, tapping that bottom line, trying to get rid of all that darkness. So now I'm using my 1/16 guard, and I'm actually using it, I started with it halfway open, and then I closed it. I really didn't go all the way open, reason being the 1/16 all the way open is equivalent to a 1. So now right here what I'm doing is I got my 1.5 guard open, and I'm coming up right to that parietal ridge, and I'm just flicking out. So after I do this, I'm going to continue to close my clipper slightly and try to get rid of some of that darkness below that line. So I closed it halfway, and now it's closed all the way. And now the next step I'm going to do here is I'm going to use some clipper over comb. So I'm just holding the clipper flat on the head, anchoring it in, and I'm slightly bringing it out, and then I'm taking off all that excess hair. Comb it down, and get right back to it. And I'm only cutting the hair that seems excessively long on here. So a lot of times people cut too much, so as long as you keep the comb flat and you pull it out, you'll be able to cut enough. So as you can see, the camera is focusing and unfocusing, but for the most part y'all can see what I'm doing. So now I'm putting the comb flat on the head, bringing it out, and I'm just doing a nice little fade out motion. Now I got my Babyliss Silver FX, and I'm knocking out that bottom line. Remember I told you if I needed to, I'd come back with my trimmers and take that line out. So now we're starting on his edge up, and I'm actually starting in the middle of his head. Create my first initial guideline and move over. So I started in the middle, and now I'm going to the right, his left. I'm just trying to make a nice straight line. Remember, when they have longer hair on top, it's going to be kind of difficult to make a nice straight line, because what happens is the hair tends to curl up. But it can be done. A lot of people like to attack this with shears. Sometimes I do that. Right here I didn't though, just because I feel like my trimmers did a pretty good job of doing that, so I didn't need to. Now I'm working on a C cup, and as you can see, I made my first line, and then I made a line at the bottom, and I'm just making them connect. And I'm just curving the clipper to make that line. A little bit of detail work. Tapping that bald line. Alright, so now I'm getting back to a little more detail work. I see some spots in the fade that I really didn't like, or that looked too dark for me, so I wanted to make sure that it was faded out nice. So I grabbed my 1.5 guard, and I'm just using the lever, open and closing it, just to make sure I get out that darkness and make it look how I want it to look. Basically that was it for that side. So this side I'm going to do the exact same thing. As you can see, I got my clipper open, or maybe you can't see due to the focusing of the camera, but y'all bear with me guys, I'll get it right on the next video. Sorry about that. So I started with the clipper open, took away that line, put the 1/8 guard on there, came up about another 3/4 of an inch, faded down, used my 1/16 to take out that middle line. Then I used the 1.5, and now I'm using the clipper over comb technique. Putting the clipper flat on the head, and I'm actually doing the flick out motion. Now I got my 1.5 guard on there again, just doing some detail work. And like I said guys, you can detail as much as you feel is needed on the haircuts. Sometimes I detail a little more depending on how the hair came out or how it looks. Sometimes I do very small detail work, sometimes I detail for about another 10 to 15 minutes, and it all depends on how the hair looks and how you want it to look. Sometimes, like I said, I detail more just because it doesn't give that effect that I want, so I go back and I touch it up a little more. Alright guys, now I'm doing the same thing to the back. Started clipper open, halfway closed, and then all the way closed. Now I got my 1/8 guard on there, coming up about 3/4 of an inch to an inch. All the way open, halfway closed, then all the way closed. Then I attack it with the 1/16 in the middle, and then closing it down. Now I got my 1.5 guard on there. I'm fading up that crown area. I'm trying not to go too high into the crown area. Now I'm using clipper over comb on here also. Doing some small detail work.
la ciencia.
And basically that's what we doing on this haircut. You know, we did the same steps on the left side, the right side, and the back. And now right now what I'm doing is actually some shear over comb. I'm actually using my blending shears and attacking where I see a little bit of bulk, a little bit, just to make sure it gives a better gradient in that area. Now he's got the shaving cream on. I apply a hot towel over the face. I'm sorry, over the edge up. And this is just what I offer most of my clients. You know, they all get this this service right here. You know, something a little extra that I see that, you know, mostly everyone enjoys. Therefore, I do it. So now I'm gonna take my razor and I'm just gonna go over what I did with my trimmers. You know, just make sure, try to give them a nice edge up with the razor. So remember guys, when it comes to doing the edge up with the razor, you want to make sure you stretch that skin. Try to keep that razor as flat as possible. The flatter it is, the less likely you are to nick someone. And I like to get behind the ear also. Sometimes we tend to leave a little bit of hair there. And I'm just doing the same thing to the other side. So basically guys, this is the cut. Y'all let me know what you think. I didn't take anything off the top. Gave them a mid fade and I just lined them up with the razor. Y'all let me know what you think of the haircut down in the comments. If you have any questions, any comments, if you have any haircuts y'all want me to do, y'all make sure y'all just leave that in the comments below. Make sure you like this video, make sure you subscribe, and just make sure you share guys. Until next time YouTube, I appreciate y'all.